All right, everyone. I know it's lunchtime. Half of you are probably going to fall asleep. If you do fall asleep, I will endlessly mock you and probably tell all your friends. So, theme here is come together. The business side of a company and cybersecurity. When we come in, like your business folks tend to think of you as, you'll see like the Matrix screen coming out, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm just in the basement just typing away. And to be honest, when I'd have executives come visit me, I'd pull up just a command prompt and just type in random stuff till it looks like I'm hacking everything. And they're like, this is the smartest guy on the world, right? But it's also, when you bring in cybersecurity, they think you're going to make things more difficult. They think that you're going to have to do more steps to make their day-to-day business run. So they're very hesitant to adopt what you want. The other one that we have that is a kind of a preconceived notion, and I've dealt with it. I can't remember who was just talking about healthcare. I was the only cybersecurity engineer in a healthcare environment because I was the audit checkmark. Vendors for these imaging machines, all that other stuff, when you'd ask them what ports and protocols you use, what server are you talking to, what IP address are you leaving with, and their answer, all of them. Not just be like, I did this, I did that, it was all of them. And then you ask the question about like the XP and stuff like that, and you're like, why don't we harden these a little more? And they're like, no, it won't work. And then you have your medical professionals that say, well, we can't do security because of patient care. To me, that's honestly, all that is a load of shit. It really is. You can work together with these people and still get stuff done. And then, like, the big thing is don't work against them. Don't fight them. Don't come in just heavy-handed. Don't go in swinging, because you'll have a better chance to get results if you actually talk to them on their level. One of the things that we tend to do is when we walk in, we instantly, for some reason, come off as we think we're the smartest people in the world. We walk into a room, you have executives, you have business heads, and the first thing that comes into your mind when they talk to us is, you're an idiot. But what we have to do is stop the jargon and the speak. You have to speak plainly to people that aren't in your field. What comes off as to you as common sense isn't necessarily common sense to them. So when you're talking to the business executives or people that influence policy and adopt cybersecurity, you have to talk to them on a level that is respectful to them. Because when we start talking our language and all that other stuff, it does sound like you're disrespecting them. You're talking to them like they're 5 years old. And all you're doing is trying to explain something. So essentially, you're selling cybersecurity within your own company. You're a salesperson to try to get that done. You can work with hundreds and hundreds of different people, but at the end of the day, what makes the money is what that's going to win. There's 2 rules in life. You don't mess with the people that cook your food, and you don't mess with the people that write your checks. After that, like it's gravy. So you work with everyone, because it's not how it actually seems. So open your mind. By shedding that, they're being unreasonable from both sides. Work with everyone on this to where you're going to work with this team and this team and shed that perception that everyone's against each other. You work together, you build a compromise solution. I mean, we had talked about risk management and the CIS risk management framework. If you were to just do that, I don't know if there's any military folks in here that have done the risk management little card and you fill out, and this is like a super high thing, but I'm gonna do these actions and that turns into moderate. That's a win. You're lessening the attack surface for your organization. You're not going to ever get to where you're a fully hardened institution because the systems that make the money determine what gets happened. So if you were to say, for example, the imaging systems I was talking about earlier, when you bring that up, they're saying, I want everything. That's dumb, and I'm not going to do that. So what I did is I put a rule on the firewall and logged it. So then I'm seeing all the traffic that's coming through, and as I'm watching that, I'm just slowly creating rules. And over the time of 6 months, you have a complete rule set, and you know what's talking to what, and then you pull that allow rule out of there, and you're good. The vendor doesn't know any different. And the best part of it is when they come in, say something goes wrong, and they'll be like, oh, you have firewall rules. All right, well, I'll just allow you to run wild all over everything again. It's simple. It's very simple. You can do stuff behind the scenes that aren't necessarily seen by everybody else. And it doesn't affect their day-to-day lives. Just document it. So then, if the event that stuff rolls downhill, you have a documentation saying, hey, I did this. Because at the end of the day, who gets fired when there's a compromised situation? It's not the CEO. It's all of us that goes. So at least if we do our due diligence and form relationships with the business partners that we have to work with, the people that create our checks, they're not the enemy. They aren't the enemy. And as I said, not everything is how it seems. We can talk to the rest of the company and mold together. We talk on their level. We try to bring them how we benefit, how they will benefit from enhanced security, how they will benefit from like a multi-factor authentication instead of massive passwords and everything they have to do. So if you were to take that and talk to them, you'll realize that they're not these, hoity-toity people that don't want to adopt anything, and they will see you as someone more than basement dwellers that are just pounding away on keyboards and looking at packets and all that other stuff, because that's how they look. They see everyone like that. So I guess what I'm thinking right now is I'm going to open some stuff up, change it up a little bit, be different. Because I can come up here and I can talk for an hour about everything. But I want to hear people's experience in this room that have dealt with the business side of things. Tell me your struggles and explain to this room your struggles, and we can find solutions, because I guarantee you one of us has ran into the same issue. So I'm going to look for some hands to be raised, but I'm going to be a little different about this, because if I do not see hands raised, there's random pickings. So either raise your hand or I'm going to call on somebody. So go ahead, tell me some of the struggles you guys have had. There we go. My man.
All right. Being put on the spot. So I'm still kind of new in the industry, and one of my struggles that I have frequently is responsibility without authority. So going up to someone and saying, "Hey, we need X, Y, and Z done," and they'll look at me like, "Hey, you're not my boss." So I feel like I'm sure I'm not the only one in that situation.
Well, I will say that there is a massive amount of bureaucracy in a corporate environment. The people that make the decisions insulate themselves as much as possible from the people doing that decision. So you're going to have to, because I can't walk up to you and say, "Hey, we're going to do this." You're going to do exactly what you said. The guys are going to go, "Yeah, you're not the boss of me." And then you're stuck fighting with them. Everyone puffs up when you say, "Hey, we're going to do this." So that's where your management team has to communicate with the other management teams and get together. Get everyone around a table and say, "This is what we're going to do. This is what it's going to affect." Because transparency is key. Transparency is huge, because people think that we're behind this wall and we're shutting everything out and monitoring all their traffic and like you said, the dark web. And I don't know if there's any Letterkenny fans out here, but then I always think of Stuart going, "Dark web." So if you break that perception of you, put yourself out in public. We're not well known for our public-facing personas. I know myself, generally, I like just sitting at my desk and not seeing people for weeks at a time. So we got to get out there, put a face to the name, put a personal touch on who you are speaking with, so then they know it's you. And then in that event that something does go wrong, they have you directly to contact. So if they're like, "Hey, I tried to do this, now I can't get to it." And you can either tell them, "Well, that might be a result of this, but let me get back to you." And then just do a little research for them. If it's something that has to go to, say, Tier 1 or Tier 2 help desk, kick it over to put a personal touch on what you do, because that is going to go miles and miles with people you work with. If they have a face, they have a name, and they have a perceived relationship with the cybersecurity team, then they become part of that team. They become ambassadors for what you're trying to do. All right, next question, or issue that you people have dealt with. There we go. Right there.
I work for a global company. Our headquarters is in France. And so we deal with a lot of changes in our environment in the United States here. But we have to go through a change advisory board, and that is in France. So when we have our presentation to the board members, anytime we kind of present something, and this, I'm kind of new to, I'm like 2 years in right now in cybersecurity, and I'm the officer for the United States. So that being that, I'm trying to implement new security measures and stuff like that to help us be more resilient. And every time you do that, you have to talk to France. Well, and I have been learning, especially through today with this seminar, you have to deliver it in a certain way to where they, like you said, it's at a base level to where you're not speaking above them, but you're also showing the benefit to the company. But that's always been a problem, because every time we try to implement something that's brand new and it's going to absolutely help and or reduce like workloads on our users, they can either say no, or they sometimes say, maybe we'll change, we'll think about it. So that's a problem that I have to deal with pretty frequently where I work.
So dealing with a change advisory board in general can be difficult, because from my experience, presenting something to a cab causes issues, because that cab's composed of server admins, network admins, and supervisors. Well, those supervisors, they get kicked in the teeth if something breaks, or if there's a chance for something to break. So they're going to be very leery on allowing you to make a change. It is, like you said, it's how you present it. It's how you present it, which is funny, because if I recall, Europe is actually kind of almost at the forefront of cybersecurity. So the requirements France has, they should be fairly open to do that, but it's completely different here, and there's somewhat of a language barrier, because we do have vernacular, slang, ways of saying things that is completely different than what France has. So when you're saying stuff, you have to kind of, I always say, be clear and concise. And kind of the theme about this with talking with individuals, it's the golden rule of life. Don't be a dick. That is all you have to live by. Go to them, talk to them on a level that shows respect, and explain things clearly and concisely. Don't use slang terms or stuff that, like acronyms and everything, that they may not know where they're at. So, does anyone else have a statement to follow up on that? Right there.
So one thing I've learned is I had trouble in my younger years talking to executives, talking to, let's say, selling something. Mm-hmm. What I learned is you got to put yourselves in their shoes. You think to yourself, what's in it for me? You're trying to enable some security control, additional control. What's in it for a CFO? How is it going to save them money? Try to think about what's in it for me from their end.
Exactly. You put percentages and dollar signs on this stuff, they will see it. So say there's a high-risk vulnerability, but that patching that vulnerability requires a change in process and possibly a change in the look of whatever they're using. You have to put those dollar signs on it. Say, okay, so we're pretty much, if someone finds this during a ping sweep or whatever they're doing, they're going to find that, they're going to exploit it, they're going to tank us, and it's going to cost us this amount of money. So it's a 90% chance that someone finds it because it's readily accessible or something. If it does, say, 5,000 patient records, we're going to go healthcare because This is the pitch I've had to make millions of times. 5,000 patient records, you're going to have to pay roughly close to, what was it, like $550,000 per record, damn near, because you have to get them LifeLock, credit protection. You might have to actually pay out because of a lawsuit. All this other stuff. You do that, you put that number with that and show them, hey, if we run this simple patch and just re-educate our people on it, then that's going to save you $100 million, say. And that is the thing that business side hears. You, as cybersecurity folks, have to research, like he said, put yourself in those shoes. Look at the business aspect of things. Most of us don't get into cybersecurity because we want to look at the business side of it. We don't. We got in cybersecurity because it's awesome. And we get to do cool stuff and learn every day about something new. Take that passion that you have for that and carve a little chunk of it and do some research. Do some research on your company, how they function, how they make money. Reach out to each little division and say, hey, I'd like to sit with you and see your process. Go, see what they do, sit with them a little bit, ask them questions. Ask about their families, ask about their friends, ask about what they're doing. Because again, it puts a personal touch and trust in you so they think that you are not going to intentionally screw them over. All right, next one. We haven't, over here, someone. There we go, Margaret. She's my friend. She's the most awesomest person ever.
So right now I'm having trouble quantifying why we need certain security protocols in place. Like, how do I encourage management? Like, how do I get a dollar amount? Like, they're like, well, that costs too much money. Well, how can I say, well, if we don't do this, it'll cost this much money when something happens? Like, how do I find that, or how do I convince them that it's worth the cost up front?
Well, there's tools out there that benefit us. Example, like a Reddit string, or like if you go to pitch CI security, CIS, where if you go to our Workbench thing and go onto the Microsoft community or anything like that, and you post something in the discussion forums, there's going to be someone that's willing to help you do that. Reach out to communities. You come to these conferences, you network with everybody. You see people that are in a very similar line of work or organization that you work for. You talk to them, they more than likely will be able to get you pointers, and you will be able to get them information too. And as far as like putting dollar signs and all that other stuff, if whatever program or device that you have gets compromised, how long will the business be down? You don't need to actually put dollar signs on that. You're just like, hey, we're not going to be able to sell anything for 3 days. Then the people that actually make the money and know what comes in goes, oh crap, that's a huge portion. Christmas is coming up, or people are ordering stuff and all that. It's a way to pitch things. But like I said, lean on people that you have worked with and everything like that. The other thing about that is talk to internal people that you actually work with and be willing to share. And that kind of goes out to everyone, is for the longest time, and I'm seeing a massive shift in individuals, we don't want to share our information because the young guy might take my job. Instead of mentoring people coming forward, we silo it and then say something happens where you're out of the office for 6 months. Nobody knows how to do your job. Yeah, that might make you feel super important, but then it goes to the one rule of life that I said before. You are not setting them up for success. All right, next statement.
This is not a statement, but more to the young lady. I think she's stepping out of the room. But real quick, well, for everybody else, I think when it comes to measuring cost, I typically use two basic principles. One is TCO, total cost of ownership. For every product or service that you're responsible for, usually has labor hours associated to it, that service. Then you have licenses that you have to take care of. And then you have hardware. And then you can also bank in the ongoing cost. So you can come up with dollar amounts based on that. So with the total cost of ownership, that's where the dollars and cents, and then you do what's called a business impact analysis, a BIA, where you just talked about earlier, you have to be in line with the business units to understand what your P&L, profit and loss, where your income revenue stream is coming, and you can quantify with your business in the event of this particular, whether it be physical or virtual event that happens, what is the cost for your business? What's the business impact? And there are formulas out there, like the gentleman said, tools that can help you quantify that. But it's really an important aspect of being able to articulate to the business in a way that they understand it, so that they can go ahead and approve your projects. So TCO, you can Google or whatever, and then BIA. These are two principles. There's others, but those are two great places to start when you want to quantify your risk.
And this right here is exactly what I was just saying. You meet someone like the gentleman there, that's information that you can take and you can carry to somewhere else. We'll look at like the open source community. That is just like the utopia of nerddom. You can go into that and work with a bunch of like-minded people to make a product. You look at Red Hat Linux. Who remembers Red Hat 1, Red Hat 2? It might be dated a little bit, but that stuff was all open source. The community created it. And the community also fixed it when there was a vulnerability or something in the code that was not right. They all got together and they worked together. So network. And right now, we as cybersecurity engineers, architects, practitioners, we need to become leaders and lead by example. Show everyone what right looks like. Go for that. And I'm not saying it's going to be smooth sailing the entire time, but the end result is absolutely amazing. All right. Like we had one over here, right? All right, there we go.
Thank you. Apologies for my voice. I have a little bit of a cold. In what I've been seeing in where I work over the past decade, actually, is that trying to convince the business that cybersecurity risk, information risk is not something that needs to be completely remediated, eradicated, but rather managed. extremely risk adverse, but not across the whole business. It is very specific to IT that they feel like we must fix everything. And so how do you have an effective conversation where it's like, this is okay, we're going to continue to work towards it, versus the sky is falling every single day and the worst case scenario is always what's going to happen?
Well, we have a reputation as being the sky is falling people. It's like, oh my God, if we don't patch this one system that is air gapped and someone can do a directional antenna into it and leap and all kinds of stuff. So we have to look at, again, risk management, risk mitigation, and risk management. You are never going to harden your system so much that there isn't a chance for something bad to happen. Go into your organizations, and this, I'm hoping everyone here thinks the same way. You're already compromised. There is someone somewhere that is either has a compromise in it or is capable of it, because we're people. The thing we have to do is mitigate the risk. The sky is falling people. We have to tone their rhetoric down a little bit, because we do get passionate about stuff and then things get heated. But you can't stop everything from coming in. It's just not feasible unless you have a completely just air-gapped everything. There's no PC. Even if there's like air-gapped systems and you have to talk to this person, the compromises are gonna happen. You know, it kind of takes me back to the people dropping random thumb drives in there. Black Hills InfoSec did a trick, because they do social engineering, they do all that stuff. They just went into the parking lot and dropping little thumb drives everywhere with some spyware on it that was non-malicious, but it was still allowed them to get in the system. Everybody took them and plugged them right into their machine to see what was on them. So you're not going to stop everything. You know, it's like trying to control the weather or anything like that, or get your children to listen to you. It's just not going to happen all the time. So if you go and work with them to mitigate the risk as much as possible, that's the best we can do, because we do need to work with everyone in this. Have that conversation on a personal level. That's kind of my big thing, is show them that you're a person, not this robotic creature that just only comes out when it's snack time and then goes back to their desk. We change the image of us, because in the event that something happens, I'd be willing to bet a majority of people here have never talked to the CEO or CFO, or hell, even like managers of other departments. Never had a conversation with them. Never walked up to them and said, "Hey, how's it going? I'm so-and-so from IT. I'm just kind of introducing myself, saying hi." Because that puts a face to you. So then when they get an email saying, "Hey, we have some remedial security training that we need to do," they're going to go, "Hey, I know that person. I just saw him." So it really helps people adopt things. The other one, and it was touched on as far as security training goes, how many people absolutely love all of the security training where you're just clicking next and watching videos all day and they may have an exam. Does anyone absolutely love doing that every day? Or even once a year? Organizations now, because of compliance requirements or an audit, push out cybersecurity training, and that cybersecurity training ends up taking them an hour and a half to do. And what end user is going to remember any of that or even pay attention? As soon as they click that button and they say, I've got to sit here for 40 slides or 40 little modules, they're pissed because you're taking away from their day and their job. Focused security training based on position will increase the likelihood of people actually retaining it. Again, healthcare. I worked in IT. I was a security engineer. I didn't even have admin rights to boxes because I didn't want them. I wanted people that worked on them to do the admin on it. Again, transparency. But I had to take HIPAA training. I had to take how to wound care stuff. I mean, I took crap for compliance that I would never, ever use. Like, I'm not standing in the ER waiting for someone with a spear through his shoulder to come through. And so that, from my standpoint, really sucked. From the other standpoint, we implemented this huge know-before rollout, and we picked all these modules and everything, and I am amazed I didn't get put on a spike after that. And it wasn't even my choice. That was the recommendation to our director and the CIO, and they're like, send them all. So you gotta kind of work it in there. Even if you're doing security training, instead of doing it annually and having one massive block, do it quarterly. Because who here has kids? Summer break starts. How many times has school started in the fall and they were trying to pick up on what they were learning before summer break and they actually remember it? Not very often. Not very often, because if we don't care about something, our attention span and our memory is short. I mean, even if I care about stuff, half the time I don't remember my own name. So implementing these in short little bursts to where it's not abrasive, they can do it on a 15-minute break or something like that, is beneficial. All right, next one right there.
So I'll agree with what you say about security training being an hour and a half long, and that it doesn't work. But how would you address security training that's done monthly in a 5-minute burst when your take rate's only about 70%?
You're not. You can please some of the people all the time and all the people some of the time. That's kind of what I look at. And you are going to, what we did is we actually, it was mandatory. And if you didn't take it, you were reminded time after time after time after time. At CIS, we have to do, because we contract with the government and because we work with some other organizations, there are training that we are required to take. And if we do not take it, we do not work anymore. Same in the healthcare industry. If you do not take the blood cleanup class or whatever, they will pull your credentials and you can't do anything. Encourage those people that are not doing that. Have people just talk to them, not harp on them, not tell them they have to do it. Put it in a way that encourages them to actually get it done. But it also falls on the risk mitigation part. That small subset, the 30% or whatever that doesn't take it, that's a lot smaller window than 100% of the people don't take it. Because you can also put out all the security training you want and even do phishing campaigns. You are still going to get those people that go, oh, I want an Amazon gift card. I'm going to click that. You will never it will never happen that people actually do it. But as long as you make them aware of it, they become a little more hesitant. With phishing campaigns, the setup I had was, I called it the 3-strike rule. Send it out, blast it out to everyone. The people that actually clicked the phish, the next month they got another one. And if they click that other one, then they got a third one. And you see the windows dropping down on people that actually click it. If they click that third one, that's when I would go to them with their supervisor or talk to their supervisor and have a sit down with them and just show them. It's like, instead of clicking the link, hover over it. If it's like 8 miles long and it doesn't say Amazon.com, it's like Omazon.com or something like that, just look for these little subtle hints. They're getting way better at tricking people. All these, I don't know, I'm pretty sure everyone in here's phone's been blowing up for the past year on you're up waiting for your loan to be finished out, and you got to call them because you're going to get like $90-something thousand and all that, and you're like, I didn't do that, but you're not going to stop it. They're going to do it, but as long as you train the people to mitigate the risk, then you're lowering your attack surface. Does that answer? I know. It's tough to like implement it. It's tough to get people to do anything they don't want to. It really is. Go ahead.
I'll actually comment to that just because of what our organization does. It's actually security awareness. Think of it like a diversified portfolio with finance. You have yes, your annual training, but we use, what's it called now? Everything changes, but we use different mediums or ways to connect because everybody learns differently. You have your phishing programs, you have your, I'll say intranet for the lack of a better word right now, where maybe you push out communications with different channels, Viva Engage, couldn't think of it. But at the end of the day, we don't just go one way to do stuff, and we try to do things intriguing. Cyber, like escape rooms we've done, different things. So kind of get a little creative because you're taught, it goes back to your audience and trying to get all the way down to the lowest level you possibly can in general that's farthest, when I say lowest level, farthest from IT, because that's where your breaking point is too. So get creative.
And if you've done that, if you make it fun, make the training somewhat fun. I mean, it's never the best time ever, but if you make it fun and then recognize people that have completed it. Don't call out the people that haven't, because that's just a mean, spiteful thing to do. But recognize them. Say, hey, this is great. Here's a fancy certificate from the CIO thanking you for finishing this training. Just random people out there. And then other people will be like, oh, okay, well, I might get a $10 Starbucks gift card. And you give it to 5 people in your organization. Well, people are more likely to respond to rewards than to respond to, I have to do it just to do it. All right, right over there.
Hi, I've been listening to all this going on, and it seems like there's just one word that can convey everything that you're talking about, and that one word is communication. Mm-hmm. And You know, the one thing that we've always learned is know your audience. Don't go into a board meeting and start speaking jargon, as you say. I don't go into a finance meeting and talk about something totally inconsequential. They want to know numbers. They want to know whatever. Know your audience. And in some cases, like they're talking about rolling out training, your audience may be so huge, but be creative. Get out of the box a little bit on some of these things. As she was mentioning, you know, use different forms of communication, but it's the communication is the key. Every single time you talk about it, it's the key. The problem that we have, especially in this industry, and you said it yourself, I'm pretty happy if I sit at my desk and don't talk to anybody for 2 weeks. And that's kind of what we all feel. But we found a lot of times, you got to get out of that box. You got to go and you got to communicate. You know, one of your best friends is going to be the CFO or somebody in finance who can answer those questions. It happens time and time again. Get out of your office. Get away from your desk. Go talk to the people that are important to you and how you do your job. It's communication is the key to success, and it's true for any industry, but I think especially for us, we really need to, again, think outside the box, get away from your desk, go communicate.
I agree 100% on that. You actually made me think of something with like your finance, all that other stuff. Everyone has a budget you have to adhere for. As technology evolves, that budget doesn't climb. It's basically like the economy now, where it's costing more to do stuff, but we're not getting paid anymore. So you have to work with what you have and possibly get creative. Take the ability to take what equipment you have, what setups you have, and just brainstorm with everyone. Get together and say, hey, you know, we got to do this. How can we make this work because we cannot afford this? Who's got Qualys or Tenable for their vulnerability scans? Anyone use like CIS's Syscat tool? All right, so a little plug on CIS Syscat tool. Also, our benchmarks are on Qualys, pretty much every vulnerability scanner out there. Red and green. Red and green speak very well to everyone. Pass, fail. You run a scan based on, I'm using CIS benchmarks because it's what I do and they're awesome. But you run a scan on a box and it says 70% of this system has failed. A benchmark that is created by industry experts around the globe, you can pitch that to them going, we really need to change this because if this fails, we are incredibly vulnerable because this is a production system that houses financial data or individual personal information or anything like that. You can pitch it by showing pretty charts. And that's always been the joke growing up, like coming up through the military, is colonels and above, lieutenant colonels and above, absolutely love colorful slides. They like the pictures. They like all that other stuff. I'm going to tell a story based on that about a supervisor I had once that wasn't an IT person, because within the military, they'll shift people over. You don't necessarily have to be familiar with IT to run a division or a portion of that. So they'll come in. I had a network switch running on there, and the button that signifies power for that particular switch shows red when it's turned on. I had that guy come in, look at it. You need to fix that. That's it. Like, well, sir, it's signifying the power's on. Why isn't it green? So then you have to explain stuff. This goes to, like, I could have been a complete ass to the guy and talked to him like he was a toddler, which I wanted to, but just explain stuff. There's like, this is how this works, this, that, and the other. So, all right. As I said before on this slide, nothing is how it seems. Individuals aren't necessarily how you perceive them. So if you look at that, look at my picture. There we go. All right. You see that there? Hardcore businessman, incredibly attractive with a luscious mustache. That's what you see. That's my perception I'm giving you. That is how I want you to see me. But in reality, that's me. That is me 99% of all ever. So give a perception that you want. Don't be someone that you're not. Give a personal level. Show that you enjoy golf or you talk to people. Let them see you for who you are, not what they think you look like or think you're like. All right. All right, any questions? I know we kind of covered a bunch, but if there are any questions or statements, we have 8 minutes, and no one fell asleep. That's awesome. All right. I'm Darren Stevenson. Thank you, Milwaukee. Good night.